gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for January 12th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Ubisoft might be in trouble and Dead Space is looking real fine. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've been up since 4 a.m. I don't know how to turn back at this point. I can't stop.
You're still living that life, huh?
Still living that 4 a.m. life. It's the only quiet time I get.
Yeah.
And then the first hour of it is just staring straight at the ceiling and just contemplating my existence.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what it turns into real fast. Is you're like, I get up, I'm going to be productive, but then like that productivity turns into I can do kind of whatever I want, and what I want to do is think about why I've found myself in this position where I am up at 4 a.m. in the dark alone. Yeah.
Being a 4 a.m. boy is a drastically different vibe than being a 3 a.m. boy.
They are. I mean, it sounds very close, but they are the exact opposite. 100% opposite. Absolutely.
Huge gap.
When you do like get up and get going, like, what do you like? Read a book or what are you doing?
I prep food for my partner.
Sure.
For the morning. Just get that ready to go. What was it called? Mise en place, as the chefs do. Now that also includes prepping.
That's a subscription service or something. Mise en place.
Yeah, exactly. Mise en place. They got a really good series called Andor.
That's where I think that's where the menu is streaming. I think. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, actually, Grubb, I finally started Andor. Ooh. I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Yes, right. Where are you at in it?
I'm at episode 7.
Oh boy, yep, and it's just gonna keep getting better. Because that episode 6 with the heist is so good. I can imagine like that one really made me pop off. I was like bouncing in my chair. I could imagine that really getting to you. It's just gonna get better. Actually, it's incredible that it still gets better, but it does.
Or there are a couple more episodes after this. I feel like I've been conditioned by like all these streamers to just have 8 and be fine.
And it totally feels like, this could easily just be the season finale. No, there's a whole half of a show left. Like there are 6 episodes left, right? Or they go to 12 in that?
I think they go to 12. Yeah. This is probably old news at this point, but I think Stellan Skarsgård was criminally underused in the Marvel universe.
Yep. Yes. He is great. He made me want to go watch Chernobyl again, which is another one of his really good ones, where he just sits there and be Skarsgård about everything. He rules.
Oh man. What a time for nerd TV.
Yes, absolutely. It's fantastic show. I can't wait. But we have to 2 years till the next season. It seems like so. Be waiting. Maybe I'm saying 2 years because if it's 18 months, that's going to feel quick. But they just started filming, and they said it's not coming until 2024. So
they're going to have a season 2. That's amazing.
Yeah. The season 2 is going to be like, so this first one's just like how he gets to where he's going, and then the next season's going to hit like several periods across 5 years when he actually is a rebel and stuff. I'm very excited. Diego Luna, he's dreaming. All right, let's get into this mess. Before we do, I'll explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you're watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Ubisoft cancels 3 unannounced projects. Skull and Bones is delayed yet again. This comes from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. We got a couple of Ubisoft headlines and we'll get through over this next little period here, but let's start here. Ubisoft has updated its strategy for the near future, and in a new statement, and that statement is to investors, it has revealed that it has canceled 3 unannounced games and has delayed Skull and Bones yet again, attributing this leaner focus on major challenges and an industry that it says is shifting towards mega brands and long-lasting titles. Ubisoft says its recent launches have not performed as well as expected. The holiday season, which usually sees major business for Ubisoft, was a surprisingly slower period for the company. And as a result, it'll be focusing more on more of its efforts on building its current brands and live service titles. As a consequence, and this is a quote, "We have decided to cancel 3 unannounced projects on top of the 4 already announced in July 2022. We are clearly disappointed by our recent performance," Ubisoft CEO Yves said. We are facing contrasted market dynamics as the industry continues to shift towards the mega brands and everlasting live games that we mentioned earlier, in the context of worsening economic conditions affecting consumer spending. Despite excellent ratings and players' receptions, as well as an ambitious marketing plan, we were surprised by Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope's underperformance in the final weeks of 2022 and early January. Just Dance 2023 underperformed as well. We could stop there. Some people are like reading that and like, well, what were the expectations for Sparks of Hope? And I kind of, they were high, and I think they kind of should have been pretty high because the first game did surprisingly well. They put in a lot of effort for a sequel that is generally well reviewed and well received, and it did not seem like Sparks of Hope really took off, right?
No, it kind of feel like it really just came and went. Like I remember you and I being really pleasantly surprised by that quick look that Dan led, and then I picked up the game, and it was good. It was a great iteration, a good sequel, but I didn't even feel compelled to finish it. And I can't really say why. Maybe it's just fatigue of where it released in the calendar year. It just wound up getting not necessarily swept away from another release, just because of the year in general, maybe.
Yeah, and I think it's just in a different place, the Switch, than where it was when the first Mario plus Rabbids came out. There's just so many more games. And there were getting to be quite a few games when Mario plus Rabbids came out. But I think it was it punched above its weight because people expected the worst, and it came out and it was pretty good. And then and some people, we'll give it a chance. And then, there also weren't a million options. And now we're the end of a generation. This is a full library. There are a lot of games people have missed, and I think it's just easier to skip out on games on the Switch than it was previously. Not everyone is like, well, I'm playing my Switch, that's what I'm going to play, so the next game that comes out, I'm going to get that too. Just this game did not get that benefit, at least, and it seems like it kind of hurt it. But that doesn't explain Just Dance 2023, like what's going on there. That was a disappointment as well. It just seems like the market is shifting, as Ubisoft says, and it's kind of shifting in unpredictable ways beyond people are going to show up for their game, their live service game that they're going to play for a very long time, and Ubisoft doesn't have many of those beyond Siege, which has been extraordinarily successful for them considering where it started, but it also doesn't seem like it is a Grand Theft Auto Online equivalent, right? Where it's just prints money. They don't have one of those, right?
No, and I feel like they were also trying to hope that Riders Republic would eventually become that as well. I know that it has like its own, I don't want to say oddball community, but very niche community that like are constantly playing that game. But to kind of put your bets on Just Dance and Mario plus Rabbids, you're placing a huge bet that is definitely not in your favor. Because what else did Ubisoft even release in 2022 besides those two things?
I struggle to remember. Yeah.
There's Rocksmith.
Yeah, that's right.
And Roller Champions, which I think didn't they shut that down?
I think Roller Champions might still be going. I honestly don't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
It's just, I guess the market is shifting, and I don't know. I think you're right with that. The Nintendo Switch library is so expansive at this point. 2022 was also a year that saw 2 Pokemon games.
Yeah.
So that could definitely play a factor in, kids that are expecting a Switch for Christmas or expecting like a Nintendo game, and like the go-to is like, okay, kids like Pokemon. Like, yes, Mario has like is the poster child for Nintendo, but like Pokemon just hits a different way with children. More so for the holidays. I think they'd be more hyped to get that rather than a Rabbids game.
Yeah. One of the other games Ubisoft released, Rainbow Six Extraction, which that is the other side of it. I think you were kind of going in this direction earlier before we got diverted, going down like, oh, the market's shifting. They're putting out a lot of stuff that is very hit or miss, and it seems like all of them have missed. Not in the same way, like Assassin's Creed comes out, that is a tentpole. It's going to be Assassin's Creed. It's going to do what Assassin's Creed does. These other games are not that. They have a chance to maybe be surprisingly successful, but none of them are guarantees. And unfortunately for Ubisoft, it seems like most of those bets have gone sour on them. They've gone belly up, and so that's a problem for any company. But Ubisoft, and it is a problem for every company, but Ubisoft specifically has a lot of employees. It is bigger than, I think, EA. I mean, in terms of its footprint, in terms of how many people it employs around the world, it's massive, like something like 14,000 people. And I haven't checked that number in a long time, but it's massive. And so it's got this huge infrastructure that it needs to support. And that means every game, not every game does need to hit, but most of them do. And the big ones really need to hit. And now they're in the situation where, they were doing that for a while, but it's more difficult than ever to continue making those games. And they're getting, the return on investment is lower and lower every time they put out another Assassin's Creed. And so, or it costs more and more to make the game on the other side, or both. And it's just like pinching them. And they're like, okay, well, we need to do something. So obviously they are looking to do the live service Assassin's Creed going forward, but that's another big risky bet. And if it doesn't pay off for them, they're going to be in a real rough spot. Like, they're already in a rough spot. They're going to be in a real rough spot. And I think this just shows how precarious making video games is, because Ubisoft is not necessarily a special case. Now, there are the pressures that they do feel being so enormous, not having a big live service game. All those pressures are amplified for them, but every developer and every publisher is in this same situation where a couple of big misses could put them in a situation where they're looking around and like, oh my God, we're screwed. And I think that applies to the biggest companies in the space. So it's not going to get easier, because it's not like games are going to get more affordable to make, right?
No, not at all. And then like when you do become like a titan of industry, like Ubisoft is, every mistake winds up hurting them more and more. Like, they can't afford to make as many like. They can't move in small avenues anymore because of being so big, and especially having to support 14,000 employees. Jesus H Christ.
Yep. I mean, that's those are the massive numbers, and it's just their games need to be massive successes, and there is no easy solution to what their problems are. They're gonna have to kind of just work it out, and the easy solution was there a little bit ago. It was to sell. It was to get acquired or to merge with another company. And that might have been maybe possible a few years ago, a year and a half ago. That might have worked. That's not really viable for anyone in the space right now, considering, again, how large Ubisoft is. We saw Square Enix just basically dump their Western studios that were making profit, but not as much profit as in other divisions. And for Ubisoft is kind of in a situation where it's like, what would they start dumping off? And then if they do start laying people off, which seems like they might have to do, and that because the big talk now is cutting cost. If they start doing that, then they're starting to like rip apart what makes Ubisoft. The ability to have 14 studios around the world all under the Ubisoft label making a big game. If Ubisoft doesn't do that anymore, then what is even that publisher? It kind of loses its entire point of being. And so every company around that might be in a situation to acquire them is looking at this and be like, man, I don't know if we want to take that on. So their structure is kind of this real big problem for them in the terms of mergers and acquisitions. So, but they have definitely had those conversations. We never know when an acquisition actually does go through. But we do hear about it every once in a while when it is one that kind of fizzles out. And there's been a couple of those for Ubisoft, a couple of those conversations where they're like, hey, we went and talked to somebody, and I think the companies would surprise people a little bit, but they make some sense if you start thinking about like what Ubisoft's options are. And it's not necessarily just like Tencent. They're like, hey, can we merge? And they're basically getting laughed out of the room because that wouldn't make any sense. You need to go and really figure out your finances first, or figure out your profit and loss chart a little bit better, and then come back to us. And that's going to be a painful process.
Yeah, I just don't know how a big studio or a big publisher like Ubisoft falls into this trap where they have definitely put themselves into a loop with really just having Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed, and then like a couple other titles like be their bread and butter. But you get someone like Activision where like Call of Duty is, for all intents and purposes, like one of their biggest, if not their biggest thing. If you're not looking at the Blizzard side of things, but how do they not fall into the same trap that Ubisoft is? Is it just because the games just got too big on Ubisoft's end?
I think that Activision just falls into its own bespoke traps where it's like we do have something that is very successful, and we can find 5 different ways to attack that very successful thing. So now we have the Call of Duty main product, we have the free to play Battle Royale mode. We'll put out another one of those. Now there's the 2.0 version of that. So there's multiple of those running, and we're trying to move everyone to the new one, but whatever. We have the mobile version, and now we're looking at ways to maybe break out zombies into its own mobile thing. And they're just going to keep attacking Call of Duty from all sides. Now, but all their eggs are in the Call of Duty basket. And so they're looking around like our diversity is screwed. And this is why Activision is trying to sell to Microsoft, because they put themselves in that position. And they looked around and like our projected growth rate is not great, even though we've done all this work to emphasize the things that we think can grow the fastest. And so what are our solutions? Well, we can tough it out and figure it out over the course of the next couple of years, which might still have to happen if the deal gets denied or blocked. But it's still there. We'll have to tough it out. Or we can sell to somebody and say, hey, all this value that we've created, now you can do something with it and figure it out. So they have like their own specific issues, and it's because they got really scared of risk, and they just focused on the one sort of thing. And Ubisoft was like, well, we are still a little bit scared of risk, yeah, but we have to try a bunch of things because we do not have our big live service thing yet, and we got to find it. And until we do, we got to keep throwing things at the wall. So. Also, I just think it was Ubisoft's culture to keep trying stuff and that kind of, in the end, I don't want to say it's going to hurt them because we want publishers to believe in making games, but it does seem like it kind of backfired a little bit.
Yeah, the Mario plus Rabbids still baffles me because Sparks of Hope is a good game.
Yeah, that's the real frustrating thing. It's like it could be a good game and yet somehow still end up in a situation like this, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, there's a few more angles here. I picked this one up from Zach Swisen at Kotaku. Ubisoft has canceled at least 7 games in 6 months, and we talked about that a little bit. But I think he kind of goes over a little bit of like what they are still working on. So let's get into it. The last few years have been bad for Ubisoft as it continues to struggle to improve its reportedly toxic work environment and keeps trying and failing to release big games like Skull and Bones, Prince of Persia, and movie tie-in Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. The pandemic has also made things harder for the company as it adapts to staff working from home and all the various problems that brings with it. And in a newly posted press release earlier today, Ubisoft explains that to help it weather all of that, it has decided to cancel even more games while it's lowering its profit targets for the next quarter. These 3 new canceled games join a list of 4 previously canned Ubisoft titles, including 2 Tom Clancy free-to-play shooters, 2 Tom Clancy games, free-to-play shooter Ghost Recon Frontline, and a VR Splinter Cell project. That brings the total of canceled games since July up to 7, and that's just what we know publicly. So what games are still actually coming from Ubisoft as we head into 2023? Well, surprisingly a lot, even after these 7 canceled projects. There's Skull and Bones, Ubisoft's...
I don't believe you.
Yes. Ubisoft's troubled and long in development online pirate game, which did get delayed again today as announced in the same press release. So that's probably one day, I think, going to launch, maybe. Beyond that, Ubisoft has 2 Avatar games in the works, one for mobile and a bigger console and PC game too. It also has a mobile port of Rainbow Six Siege that should release sooner than later. Then there's a ton of Assassin's Creed stuff. Oh, you want me to help you get your juice box? I could do that. Assassin's Creed Mirage, set to launch later this year. Another one is Assassin's Creed Project Red, which is set in Japan, and the spin-off Assassin's Creed codenamed Jade, a AAA mobile game set in China. No specific release date for either. Let's not forget, apparently the Prince of Persia remake is still happening, as well as the barely talked about Splinter Cell remake 2. And then he doesn't have it here, but we'll add that Star Wars game from Massive is also coming.
Oh.
So they're cooking, right? They are cooking something. But they put themselves in a position where if that Star Wars game pulls in Avengers, oh boy, that's not good. Like, they're going to be in really rough shape, as we talked about with the last story. But I think at the very least, like, that's a spread of games that seems like some sort of potential, right?
Yeah, I feel like the appetite for an Assassin's Creed, maybe it feels weird saying a throwback Assassin's Creed.
It is, though.
Might be what folks want. I know that folks have been clamoring for an Assassin's Creed set in Japan. So even if it's not the main console title, I feel like folks will still want to check that out. God, how long has it been since the original Prince of Persia game even? You know what?
Been a while.
Once you brought that 2010, Jesus Christ. Okay, 13 years. Once you brought that up, my ears perked. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind checking that back out again if it was like remastered. But all this on paper looks and sounds good, especially if that Splinter Cell remake or whatever the Splinter Cell game is, in the horizon. All of this looks good on paper. I just don't think that they can afford for any of these to not sell well.
Right. And then I think Zach opens this up, and it's another reason I included this story, because to help us approach it from this angle, we're looking at games coming out that are all do have the potential to be successful if they get the time. Prince of Persia has been delayed a couple times because it was looking real rough there, and that's a game that shouldn't look rough. It should be good because Prince of Persia Sands of Time is a stone cold classic, and they should give it the love it needs to come out and be able to live up to that legacy. But like, let's assume that all things go well with releasing the games. I mean, there are still other pitfalls for Ubisoft in terms of their culture and the toxicity and keeping people in charge who have protected abusers. And that's going to continue as it has been for Ubisoft. One of the other unspoken problems for them is it's been a little bit harder for Ubisoft to attract talent than other publishers because people, the whisper networks inside of gaming tell people, hey, don't go there. That dude over there actually didn't get fired. He's still over there in charge of people. And so, okay, yep, things might be going well on a certain level, but in terms of like, will it be going well 3-4 months from now if people leave because of the culture and they aren't able to replace them? I would assume that probably not. Things could fall apart again pretty quickly if that's the way things go. So Ubisoft's got a lot of issues it's got to work through, and it's not like it's just figuring out how to make good games. It goes deeper than that, right?
Yeah, I figured we would eventually get to that point. I don't know if that has affected like their sales numbers per se, but definitely is probably affecting the overall quality internally.
I would think so.
And it's got to feel like they're perhaps walking on eggshells internally of like, I don't feel the best moving in these spaces. And it must definitely be hard to attract outside talent with all of those rumblings going off. Even despite like the job market being as bad as it is. And I think that's very telling that if folks just don't want to straight up work for you because it looks bad on the outside, it's probably bad all around.
Yep. And the latest memo coming out of Ubisoft doesn't sound like it's helping things too much. Ubisoft's CEO reportedly tells staff the onus is on them to reverse the company's fortune. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. In an email sent to employees on Wednesday and viewed by Kotaku, Ubisoft CEO Yves said these delays had weighed on our costs and decreased our associated revenues, which is just great leadership talk there. Today, more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure we get back on the path to success. I am also asking that each of you be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives to ensure we're being as efficient and as lean as possible. Guillermo also urged staff to deliver on what he called the biggest pipeline in Ubisoft history, writing, "The ball is in your court to deliver the lineup on time and at the expected level of quality and show everyone what we are capable of achieving." Jan, this is loser talk.
Yeah, this is the Yves Guillemot has 2 L's in his name, and that is equivalent to how many L's this dude is taking.
Yeah.
Because this is probably the most CEO dumbest thing I've heard. Not this week, because multiple CEOs are dumb as shit. But this is going to be great for morale. You know, those people that were bad we didn't get rid of that are still here and are taking, we're cutting checks to. That's not their fault. It's yours. It's yours, QA person. Step up. Hey, art guy over there. Stop. Bring lunch to work for once. Stop eating on the company dime. It's your fault.
It's this is also coming in the face of reports that as part of that cost cutting measures that they're going to put in place, that were upward of $200 million. I think that was in the letter earlier to investors. Part of that is apparently people are leaving to go to other opportunities, and Ubisoft is just not replacing them. So these teams are getting smaller and smaller through natural sort of shrinkage of time moving on and people moving on. And now people are like in a situation where, well, the expectations of what your team is producing are still the same, and your resources to accomplish that are less. So what is the solution from big brain Yves Guillemot? Tell them to work harder. Tell them it's on them to do more. And boy, it is. It's not even leadership from behind. It's just chicken shit.
No.
It's chicken shit, little brain shit.
If I saw this email, I'd absolutely dip. Or at least I would start looking around. This is the talk of someone that has continually failed upwards, and is now realizing that you can't stumble any further and everything. The numbers stop going up, so now I'm going to not blame perhaps myself as the leader of this company. I'm going to blame the company.
I mean, this is
the ultimate of like, am I the asshole?
yes, absolutely. It's an unfair comparison, but I wish it wasn't. This should be more fair, because it'd be great if I don't want to turn everyone into a saint or whatever. But Iwata, when Nintendo was in the dumps, took a pay cut. All the leadership did. And he's like, we're going to take a pay cut, and we're going to try to avoid like laying people off, and we're going to take responsibility. The Wii U didn't do great. Isn't doing great. The 3DS was had a bumpy road or whatever. I'm going to take a pay cut, and when we come back on top, we'll all kind of share in the success or whatever. This is not that. This is the exact opposite, and it's just embarrassing.
I was going to say that I think all CEOs may be terrible at their job, but then I thought of Iwata, and then I was like, okay, no, not all of them are.
Yeah, I mean, there just clearly is a way to be a leader. It is possible, right?
It is 100% possible, and there are definite examples across multiple industries. Yves has just put a big target on himself that he is definitely not, especially after covering up for very, very toxic people in the workplace. To continue to back that up, he added that second L to his name by sending this email out.
Yep, legally.
Jesus H, man. Oh God.
All right.
Oh man.
We'll move on from Ubisoft for now, but yes,
I feel terrible for the folks that work at Ubisoft to just have that slap in the face.
Yep. And if you're in there doing that hard work, I'm giving good luck. But if you need to move on, no one would blame you.
I'm not mad at you.
Yep. No, we're not mad at you. That's right. We're just disappointed in Yves. Marvel Snap's PvP battle mode is dropping at the end of January. This comes from Osayan Kunigi. After developers Second Dinner confirmed a new PvP mode would be coming to Marvel Snap last year, it's now announced the new battle mode will be arriving at the end of January. The new mode, called Battle Mode versus Friends, was first confirmed in November, and a recent post on the official Marvel Snap website confirmed it would be arriving in the next patch on January 31st. Obviously, the whole point of the game is PvP, but this new mode is specifically designed to allow everyone to play with friends. Jan, let's go. Let's make it happen. Here it is.
I had to delete it because it was disrupting my life too much.
Yeah, I definitely had a moment where I was like trying to get one of the kids to bed, and so I was laying in the bed with them, and I was like, I'll just play this for a little while. And then I looked up, and it was 1:30 in the morning, and I was furious with myself. I'm like, where did the entire night go? That is crazy, Jeff. You cannot do this. I still have been playing though, so I'm collection level like almost 1200 ish. There it is. It's happening, but I'm like interested to see if this mode is actually going to work, right? Because they definitely are designing it in such a way that it seems like it could, where it's not like, oh, you're just going to go in there and play one battle against one another. Marvel Snap is not a Pokemon battle. It is not. It's not like a trading card game where you can have a big, prolonged session with another person, and at the end, the winner should feel like the winner because it was all determined by skill and ability to predict things. Marvel Snap does have a lot of luck to it, like poker. And so you have to play multiple hands, like a game of poker. It has to be over the course of a night, and like who's wagering everything. So like, oh, it's going to be a 10-round thing. You got 10 bars of health, and each round you can lose a thing of health. But still, it's like, I mean, it'd probably be pretty easy to feel like, oh, I wasn't prepared for these one-on-one battles with my friend's decks, and he brought in these gimmick decks or whatever. That could maybe feel a little bit bad. But I mean, I don't know. On the other hand, maybe they figured it out, and it's just great. But I imagine I'm going to try this, and it's not going to be the main attraction still. Climbing the ladder will probably still what I go back to.
Definitely. I feel like this would be a nice way to perhaps like bring some decks to a lab with friends, to try and figure out some like interesting synergies. This is going to be great for people streaming Marvel Snap. This is going to be absolutely terrible for my productivity. I'm going to say here that I'm canceling every single show that I'm on. That's right. There's no more Bombcast.
There it is.
There's no more Voicemail Dump Truck. There's no more Sekiro Choa.
It's all Snap now, baby.
It's all just Marvel Snap. That's right. That's right. I'm going to go buy 5 more phones just to play more Marvel Snap.
Hell yeah.
I don't know how that would help me, but
right.
It's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Just get your Pokemon Go rig up and ready to go and just play 5 games of Marvel Snap at once. All right. Dead Space launch trailer reveals the harrowing glory of the USG Ishimura. Let me go ahead and bring this up here in a second. I am pretty excited about this, or I was pretty excited about this. Then I saw this trailer, and it looks very, very good. I'm going to bring it up right now. I'll kind of read this while it's playing. Dead Space's launch trailer has revealed the horrifying journey of Isaac Clarke on board the massive USG Ishimura. The 2-minute-long trailer also showcases the most iconic scenes from the cult classic original, including the tunnel boss fight and the protagonist's most difficult missions in the massive Planet Cracker ship. This trailer is called Humanity Ends Here, and it shows off some new stuff, Jan, like the some of the zero-G missions and things like that weren't in the original game. Where are you at with Dead Space, and what do you think of this trailer?
I think I voiced on the Bombcast that I was a little bit hesitant because of Callisto Protocol, but then seeing this in action, it's just that same good. Yeah. Like that scary space, desolate, good that I've been needing, and just like the dismemberment, just remembering how the weapons worked and everything, and just that I'm getting that space dread again, and I kind of can't wait. And I just love all these people with their like tusk hands and everything, and just poor Isaac, poor Isaac.
Mm-hmm. They also they updated the character model. He looks pretty slick these days. He looking pretty good.
I really
New Year's shine to him.
Was it Dead Space 2 that they had the foam finger in?
Oh, I don't remember. That's sure, yeah.
Oh man,
I bet stuff like that. I bet all stuff like that kind of gets put into this one.
I hope so.
I think so.
Hope the fun extra stuff gets added into this. It feels weird if it wouldn't.
Yes. But I mean, if they're putting like the zero-G missions from 2 in here, you think they're probably going to do this kind of a similar thing with all the other fun stuff. Oh, lost that. Let's see if I can bring a picture up of our boy. There he is.
Just
take a look. I'm excited. Very handsome.
Excited all over
very
again.
handsome.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move along. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund has raised its stake in Nintendo to 6%. This comes from Gavin Lane at Nintendo Life. It has been announced that Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF, has upped its previous stake in Nintendo from 5.01% to 6.07%. As reported by Reuters, the Sovereign Wealth Fund increased its previous ownership stake in the Kyoto company by 1.06%, as revealed today in a Japanese report filing. This follows the government-run fund's initial investment in Nintendo back in May last year, and a swath of other stakes across the video game sector, which include a $1 billion investment in Embracer Group and stakes in other prominent game companies, including Capcom, SNK, Activision, EA, and Take-Two. Nintendo has stated previously that it will not comment on individual stakeholders. The PIF's investment across a wealth of sectors have drawn criticism in recent years due to Saudi Arabia's human rights record, which is tracked and reported on by organizations such as Amnesty. This is, I mean, it's one of those things, Jan, where I'm always reminded of like how out of control so much of the world is, and that it like hurts to get hurt by something like this, because it's like, I don't want to be involved in anything that funnels money towards a government like Saudi Arabia. I know every government around the world has issues, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I know, I get it. I think Saudi Arabia is a specific case where it is demonstrably worse. Killing journalists, treatment of women, so on. And so it's, but it like, I really like Nintendo. And I mean, I guess obviously if you have, if your conscience tells you not to support Nintendo anymore because of stuff like this, you absolutely should recognize that and do that. It's not as easy for me, for some. I mean, it should be. It should just be black and white, right? And so I might get this, getting twisted up in a knot here, where it's like, what can I do about this? I can't do anything to stop this, and yet I still feel guilty about it, and it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, and I think the thing that a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, I think some people don't realize is that if you are a company that has gone fully public, you can't help who is investing in said company.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an inevitability, and unfortunately, that will definitely include very shitty people.
Yes. Every publicly traded company has shitty investors, 100%.
Yes.
And like criminal investors. But I mean, it's like you said, unavoidable. So it's but it's like, I don't want to abdicate our responsibility towards being conscientious in how we go about interacting with capitalism. But there is there is no sort of good way of actually interacting with capitalism. It's all bad, no matter what you do. In every direction you go, the money is going to funnel in a bad way eventually. So and you still got to eat and sleep, and you do actually still need entertainment. But again, if people want to draw the line here, go. I do not blame you. I have done that for many. I mean, I'm again bringing up Hogwarts Legacy. I don't want that money going to J.K. Rowling, and I think I probably will be drawing a line there. I totally get it, but it's also one where if people do continue buying Nintendo games, I'm not gonna get, or even if people keep buying Hogwarts Legacy, but people do go buy that, I'm not gonna go and scold them. Now, if people want to scold me for buying Nintendo games supporting Saudi Arabia, that's also their right. They're allowed to criticize, of course.
Sure.
But again, I already feel pretty bad about it every time. Like every day walking through society like this, I trust me, I already feel I feel more critical of me than anyone else possibly could. Right.
Yeah, and the unfortunate reality is a lot of your normal consumer that is not reading video game news or up to date with like world geopolitical stuff doesn't know that Saudi Arabia has 6% of Nintendo, so they will continue supporting. And it's the same thing. You brought the same point up with Hogwarts Legacy yesterday. That yes, people that are in tune and that definitely want to support like LGBTQIA folks and make sure that they are treated well. They definitely are in full support and probably will not check out Hogwarts Legacy. However, your person that is working that part-time job that is just trying to make ends meet and just wants to try and enjoy something and isn't checking video game media will inadvertently continue supporting someone like
and,
J.K. Rowling and Saudi Arabia.
Right, and that's not the battlefield, right? The battlefield is not trying like. You can go and we can go and scold people for supporting things that we disagree with. Of course we can. Yeah. I just don't think that's going to be a very successful battlefield. I don't think that's going to accomplish anything that we want. That's not to mean, again, not to say don't bring awareness to these things. We should keep doing that. But it's the criticism should probably just keep flowing towards the people responsible for the vile opinions or the vile acts in the first place. Because it has been shown to work recently, somewhat. I mean, not as, and people say, "Well, vote with your wallet." That's what people respond to. They always find ways to make money, kind of no matter what that's what it feels like. No matter what I do, they always find ways to make money. And boycotts are such a thing. There's that study where they try to figure out what can we do to get people to like turn off more of their lights in their house. And they would be like, well, we tried everything. But like, hey, here's the ways it could help things. And people wouldn't do it. And here's how much money it could save you. People still wouldn't do it. It would save them money. They still wouldn't do it. The only thing that worked is they said, if your neighbors are doing it and you're not. So it's like this public shame that that got, and it's like, we can try to trap that. That did work. It was a little bit more effective than anything else. But it still just feels like this messy situation where no matter how much we try to regulate the way we approach and how we spend our money, that at the end of the day, that money's going to find its way to something that is unethical under capitalism, because it always does.
It always, unfortunately, does.
Xbox consoles will now default to energy-saving options as Microsoft looks to reduce its carbon footprint. This comes from
nice news.
Yeah, here we go. We got one. This comes from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Microsoft is rolling out a new Xbox update that makes several changes to help gamers reduce their carbon footprint, and this includes making the systems default to the energy-saving startup option. Xbox insiders are getting this update today, January 11th. Microsoft said in a blog post that this will reduce console power consumption when the console is off. This won't affect performance or how updates can install overnight. However, the ability to remotely wake your console in the energy-saving option is not supported. Consoles in energy-saving mode boot slower as well. Jan, this is obviously coming at a time when Europe is already in the midst of an energy crisis, one that is probably about to worsen as the winter continues moving on and things get even colder as we get into later January and February. And so having an option for anyone to save any kilojoule here and there is almost certainly very welcome. Now, I don't know how much people are thinking about their consoles or their TVs, but I do know that when we got a pretty high energy bill when we first moved into this house, I was kind of looking at everything and I was, these consoles are using a bit of energy. Now, refrigerators were actually the culprit for me. We had an extra refrigerator plugged in, and we just weren't accounting for that when we were thinking about it. But it's like, hey, when energy's extra expensive, every little bit matters. And it's like, okay, hey, at least having the option or defaulting to that option is pretty good because it encourages even more saving of energy, right?
Yes, 100%. Also, I'm kind of a fan of companies doing this as long as it's to the benefit of the planet.
Yes.
If this was a thing of like, we're just going to auto renew your subscription fees, and we're also going to increase that fee $5 a month and not tell you, that's no bueno.
Right.
But if
changing
you're telling
options
me,
for you without telling you, absolutely.
Yes. If you're going to somehow enable the HDCP on my console, and then I'm going to furiously spend hours figuring out what's wrong with an Elgato. Not that anyone's done that. Not that any company's done that. But
put them in the Hague.
That is offensive. Doing this to reduce someone's carbon footprint, by all means.
Yep. It's I'm full of examples today, but there was another study where they're like, hey, how do we get people to donate organs when they die? And they're like, well, I mean, is it a cultural thing? Is it a belief thing? It's like, no, whatever was the default option is what people were going to go with. So when it defaulted to no, most people were like, well, I don't want to donate stuff. But when they defaulted to yes, people suddenly were like, well, listen, I just think it's important that you donate stuff. And it didn't matter. Whatever was the default, people just let that box go. And they believed that was their beliefs when really it wasn't. It was just like what was easiest. So, good use of like, hey, we have the ability to do this. Let's pull it off, and it is, like you said, to the benefit of the planet. And so the taking away or presenting a different option up front that might be like, oh, it's going to make your system boot a little bit slower and make your experience slightly worse, I guess. But to these benefits, like clearly that's an easy win. And then at the same time, it's not going to boot that much slower. These are SSDs still. These things still boot in a couple of seconds overall, no matter what. So you're good to go.
I bet you, Jeff Grubb, that some folks may not even notice.
Yes. And ID Kevin in chat says good use of dark patterns, which is that's the giant bomb motto. Absolutely, yes. Good use of dark patterns.
You and I are living examples of good uses of dark patterns.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's how we got here. PlayStation Plus game catalog lineup for January 2023 includes 12 new games. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium for January 2023 games include Back 4 Blood, Dragon Ball Fighters Z, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Life is Strange, Jet the Far Shore, Just Cause 4 Reloaded, Omno, and Erica. PlayStation Plus, I was just going to say PlayStation Plus Premium Classics.
Hey, you got to pay extra for that, baby.
Yeah, extra. Jim Ryan's got a guy. He'll talk to him for you. PlayStation Plus Premium Classics for January 2023 includes Siphon Filter 3, Star Wars Demolition, and Hot Shots Golf 2. Got those premium games for you. Star Wars Demolition, do you remember what this is?
Not at all. Okay, hold on.
Okay, now what do you think it could be? Yes.
I'm thinking it's like a Twisted Metal clone.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
In the game, you could just play as Axel is just a guy with wheels on his arms. They have that for Star Wars Demolition, but it's just Boba Fett with his jetpack just riding around like that. They count that as a vehicle, and it's like, well, of course they were going to do that. Any way to get Boba Fett into the game, of course. All right, let's keep rolling here. Redfall, Forza, Minecraft Legends should all get release dates at the upcoming Xbox presentation. This comes from Alex Hopley at Gamer Actor. The German version of the Xbox Wire has revealed that at the upcoming Xbox and Bethesda showcase this month, we will not only get more information about new games, but we'll also get solid release dates. That's again for Redfall, Forza Motorsport, and Minecraft Legends. I think we assume this, but getting confirmation of that is pretty good. All three of these games are supposed to come out before June, so they got to start slotting them in here any minute now. I'm hopeful that when they do so, there will be a big, juicy gap in the schedule where Starfield obviously will just fit in. Jan, I'm starting not to believe that anymore, though. I think they are probably going to move Starfield to the second half of this year.
I don't want to be the one to tell you this, Jeff Grubb. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to
I know.
I'm just going to leave a juicy gap of dialogue here and just look at you in the eyes and just go.
I know. I got to come to the realization myself. I know.
We all got to come to the realization that things may not always be premium no matter where we go.
Things are not premium in the world of Starfield right now. Damn.
Yes, a premium gap, everybody.
Premium gap and good dark patterns here on giantbomb.com, baby. All right, this last one here. Japanese physical sales for 12/26 through 1/8. The latest Japanese hardware sales from Famitsu for hardware again are as follows. The Switch OLED did 142,000 units. PS5 did 75,000 units, and the Switch original model did 58,000 units, while Switch Lite did another 50,000. PS5 Digital Edition, meanwhile, did just 9,860. Then some scraps there for the rest. Xbox not allocating a lot to Japan, and never really sold great there as well, of course, but just 1,539 for Xbox Series S and just 200 for the Xbox Series X. But that's a pretty good week for Switch and PlayStation. The previous week was 84,000 for the OLED and 59,000 for the PS5. So even bigger as they got past Christmas. For software, the software chart is once again pretty familiar. Almost entirely Nintendo Switch games. There at the top still, Jan. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, 291,000 units sold. And then number two, still Splatoon 3. 107,700 units sold. So for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that's now at a total, just in Japan, just physical, of 4.6 million. Splatoon 3, 3.8 million. So those games just cleaning up, just making all the money there in Japan.
It's man, it's one of those things where people want I think there's an appetite for, let's just say, bigger and better Pokemon games and bigger and better Nintendo consoles. That's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. They don't need to do it.
Yep.
Nintendo could continue to, if Nintendo and Game Freak announced next week, yo, you know what? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet did great. It did gangbusters. We're really proud. I know that we said we'd go back to the lab and really work on stuff, and in Game Freak, we wanted them to work on new things. But if they also follow that with, but actually, this year we're releasing Pokemon Component and HDMI. It would still sell gangbusters.
I'm like more interested now. What is all that about? I gotta find out what that's
exactly.
About. Yeah,
they don't have to add anything to the game.
The third one could be Pokemon Monster Cable. It's gold plated. Hell yeah, let's go,
man. Oh man.
All right, let's. We're running short on time. Let's get to the polls here. Let's bring it up. Do you believe that you are usually playing against other humans in online multiplayer games? 80.7% said yes. 19.3% said no. That's about where I expected it. Jan, I brought this up because some people started running AI in Rocket League, not part of like the normal bots. This is like just their own cheating bots that they can just run and let them play for them on their accounts. It is something where I am on the cusp of maybe I need to get the tinfoil hat out, but I'm on the cusp of more frequently disbelieving that I'm playing against the human, even when the game is trying to give me every indication that I am. This has happened with me specifically in Marvel Snap, Jan, where obviously through the first 30 levels of a new season, usually when it's just a normal name, like it's just Daryl. You're playing against Daryl, and they're playing shitty. I'm like, okay, this is I guess it could be a 3-year-old. It is probably just a bot. And they're just trying to like keep me feeling good about it while I go through the early stages. But now I'm like playing against people with funky names, and they're and they have like their own titles and stuff. There's a title you could put on there, and the bots never had the titles. But occasionally I'm like, man, this one also feels like they play like a bot a little bit. I don't know, and I guess maybe occasionally that was like Agatha Harkness, which was like literally the bot card that plays cards for you. Right. But in many cases it definitely wasn't. So.
AI is everywhere, man.
Yeah, but then again, could just be my brain seeing patterns where there are none. The dark patterns coming for me, dragging me back down once again. All right, I got a new question for everybody. While I write this out, Jam, why don't you tell people what they can expect from Giant Bomb for today and tomorrow?
What they can expect from Giant Bomb today and tomorrow. Another Game S morning tomorrow, Friday morning. But immediately following this is the return of Blake Club. Grubbsy 3D. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for you.
I avoided it for so long. I thought people would forget. Oh, God, get out of here, Reichert.
And then an episode of Voicemail Dump Truck later today with Emily Panic. Unprofessional Fridays popping off tomorrow. I'm going to try and get a quick look recorded of One Piece Odyssey. Looking at the embargo now, it's a little bit of an oddball, so... I was going to try and stream it before Voicemail Dump Truck, so maybe I'll just try and record it before then. I just need someone to sit down with me.
Yeah, let me know when you're doing that. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Also, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but I opened up my own Twitter page to try and vote in the poll early, and one of the trending things or in the What's Happening tab here is after CM Punk for some reason, and above Triple H for me is Passion of the Christ 2.
Oh, shit. He's back, everybody.
It's there for you, too. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, man, there it is. I just got to click. I hope it's just a joke.
So much passion.
Passion of the Christ sequel reportedly begins filming this spring. Oh, God, here we go. Jim Caviezel back at it. Our boy JC. Playing JC.
A big piece of shit?
I think they yes, absolutely. I think he is.
Well, I mean, both of them are.
Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, Jim Caviezel was like really weird though recently, right? Like he kept getting weirder. I can't remember where I'm placing that, but he definitely, he's nuts. All right, Jan. So a lot of stuff happening on Giant Bomb. People should tune in for that.
Yes.
I'll be back with Game S Mornings tomorrow. With
not
Tam.
on Monday.
Not on. That's what I was going to ask. We're off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right?
Hell yeah, we are. We're celebrating that, and not whatever the fuck Passion of the Christ Tuesday.
No, definitely not. All right, so yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow, and not on Monday. Jan, thank you so much for spending time talking about video games with me today. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you, sir. I'm gonna just spiral thinking about what a sequel is gonna.
I'm gonna go lay on the ground. Like, this is it for me. I gotta play Bubsy, so I got multiple things I gotta deal with. Thank you for watching, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself.
You're not laying on the ground, Grubb.
The dark patterns. Let the dark patterns come for you. Bye.
You got stuff to do, Grubb.
Oh my God.
The premium gap.
It's the premium gap. Oh, fuck. Bye, everybody.
Let's do it.